I'm excited to see TSN's top 50, which is coming out next week. You mentioned how difficult it is. Let's go with the top 10 players in the CFL. You were still a player previously, and although you were maybe somewhat diplomatic about where you were ranked when you were 50, I believe, you felt a type of way. So now you're bringing the player's point of view to the panel. I want to see how you influence it. Give me your top 10.
Ooh.
Now let's start at 10 and work our way up. Build up the suspense.
Number 10, I got Stanley Bryant.
Okay, like it. I like it.
I had to try to find a way to fit him in. Again, there's not going to be a lot of linemen on the top 10.
Whoa.
There's not going to be a lot of linemen, but obviously Stanley Bryant is one of the best.
One of the best, or the best?
He's definitely the best. As I was
going to say, is there
one of the most
another lineman on here?
Players without having to play any other position.
So he's the only lineman in the top 10?
In my top 10.
Whoa.
That's right. Number 9 is Darius Pickett. He's a guy that was extremely active last year, and being in a locker room with him as well, I see the value that he brought outside of just like the plays that he made. Obviously, being the representative for the Eastern Division as Defensive Player of the Year garners a lot of attention as well for him. But for me, he's a guy who brings a lot of energy as well as the plays. Number 8, my man, Wynn McManus.
Thank you. I think that's kind of low, to be honest.
Fair. Probably kind of low.
I had him higher on my list.
Wynn McManus.
I actually had both those guys higher on my list. Evidently, I love linebackers more than you do.
No, that's not the case. That's not the case at all. Here's the other thing too, DB. I know what this world is like. I know what the football world is like, and I know how people are going to judge it too. So I'm trying to predict what the top 10 is going to look like based off of the eyes that people look at.
No, but you can influence the top 10. We don't need a prediction. We need perspective.
We're gonna get there.
You just came off the field.
We're gonna get there.
So you have 2 defenders in the top 10.
That's right.
What side of the ball did you play on?
You know exactly where I played.
Okay, I'm just making sure you know.
You know exactly where I played.
I'm just making sure you didn't forget.
Number 7. You're definitely gonna have a lot to say about this. He's a guy that I think his numbers were good, but he can do even more. This is Dominic Rhymes, coming from BC. The reason why I think his numbers weren't as high as they could be is because of the wealth that they had at receiver out there in BC. And so for that reason, I think Dominic Rhymes not only had a great season and was very productive, but I think he's going to have an even better one this coming season. Next on the list, we got AJ Ouellette. In my opinion, being in the same locker room as him, the impact that he brings, the ability that he brings to galvanize a team, and just change the course of a game. He's the type of guy, when you go in a meeting in a locker room or in a meeting preparing for the Toronto Argonauts previously and now when you're playing against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, you got to know where AJ Ouellette is at. Number 5, Tim White, the other receiver you're looking for.
Okay.
Top receiver in the league. The stats speak for themselves, but beyond that too, his impact on his team is just as good, if not better. And you're looking at a guy that's going to play now with a former Hall of Famer who I predict will have one of his better seasons in the last 4 or 5 years. 4. Zach Collaros, obviously the leader. He's one of the vets on that team that keeps things stable. They have multiple ones, but he's definitely up there. I'll go with Zach Collaros, and yes, I have 2 more quarterbacks on top.
Guy, what? You think he's the 3rd best quarterback in the CFL?
Listen.
And you have 2 quarterbacks ahead of him?
I have 2 quarterbacks ahead of him. And I have my reasons.
I listen, I'm not even asking follow-up questions. I'm just going to let the comments do the work for me. Go ahead.
Exactly. Next, I got Vernon Adams Jr.
I like it.
This progression to me is through the roof. His trajectory is only going up higher and higher. And again, you talk about the fuel. You talk about the reason for playing. You talk about this upcoming season with having the Grey Cup in his hometown. He's going to have an amazing season. So I think that he's top 3 right now. Number 2, I'm putting Brady. Brady-O. He's got all the accolades. He got all the recognition. I don't even think there's much for me to say. But you talk about the heartbeat of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I'm putting him at number 2. Last but not least, I have to give respect to the guy who led a team that nobody believed that they would get to where they got to. Cody Fajardo. I love the story, leaving the green. I love the story, coming into a new team. People didn't believe in him. Nobody thought that they were going to win. Go into the Grey Cup. I think that there's so much pressure that comes on the quarterback specifically, especially him, because of one, he didn't necessarily have all of the numbers, but when you look at the side, when I was on the sideline, I looked at the way that he led that game. And it's not even about the numbers as much as it is about the impact, the leadership qualities that he displayed, the way that he was able to bring the guys along and calmly lead them to a Grey Cup championship. Because of that reason, I have to put him at number 1.
So you mean to tell me?
I mean to tell you.
We are redrafting the entire league. And you got first overall pick. You're turning in the card for Cody Fajardo.
I don't think that's how this works, DB.
What do you mean? Wait,
this is not a draft.
Hold on.
If you ask me to do a top 10 for the draft, it's completely different.
It literally is a draft.
This is not a draft.
We are drafting and ranking the top players in the league. The best comp for it is a draft.
One, it's not top players as far as talent is concerned. It's top 50 that we're talking about, the top 10 of the top 50. And it's all based off of. It's all based off
top
of.
Top players in terms of people you want to hang out with?
It's all based off of the 2023 season is what I'm trying to tell you. Your top 10 is who you're going to draft. Who you would draft if you...
We're going to make it very simple. The aliens are coming down.
Oh, my goodness.
And we need...
This is not what the top 50 is about, though.
It's the top... It's called top 50. All I'm asking you is if you need to field a team, you need to win one game and you're drafting a team, the first selection you would make, sober, would be Cody Fajardo. It's a yes or no question.
I wouldn't. I absolutely wouldn't. But when you're talking about a top 10 for the 2023 season, you have to give respect to the team that won the championship the previous year. Like I mentioned earlier, he has a great story. He battled adversity.
A great story.
Absolutely.
We're doing a documentary.
The journey matters.
The players.
The journey matters. Again, this is a top 10 based off of last year. You got to look at the journey. You got to look at where he came from. You got to look at what the storyline was going through the 2023 season. All of that matters when you're looking at the top 10. It's all based off of the previous season, DB. But, hey, look, let's see how your top 10 ranked and who you put in your top 10.
When we spot the ball,
that's what I want to hear.
We're not looking for human interest stories. We're just looking for people who are playing. 10, Kenny Lawler. 9, Tim White. 8, Geno Lewis. 7, Darius Pickett. 6, Jamal Peters. 5, Willie Jefferson. 4, Wynton McManus. 3, Brady Oliveira. I'm sorry, my fellow running backs. I only got 1. 2, Vernon Adams Jr.
And number 1,
Zach Claros.
So you're not
still has the conch.
How many guys from the championship winning team? Look, you didn't look at all at the 2023 season.
Well, first of all, Austin Mack no longer plays in the league. If he did, he would be on the list, but he doesn't. He was on the championship
absolutely.
team.
So when you're doing a top 50, they tell you that. And you cannot pick anybody that is not currently active right now.
Of the players who are currently in the CFL, these are the best players. That's the criteria. Your criteria is not these are the best players.
I'm talking about the 2023 season, top 50, top 10 of the top 50.
I'm talking about
that was the criteria.
If we line up the football right now, who's going to give you that work in order?
You're talking about an all-star team.
I'm not talking about an all-star team.
That's exactly what you're saying. If you're lining up a team that you feel like is going to be the best and you're looking at all of the rosters on every team, that's an all-star team, DB. That's an all-star team. There's no way around it.
I mean, call it what you want. But I'm talking about these are the best players. These are the guys who have put on film that they impact the game in order. And if it's about an all-star team, I wouldn't put 2 QBs, 1, 2.
And how many guys from the Grey Cup winning team do you have on that list? On the top 10?
I currently have 0 players on the Grey Cup winning team. You and the Argos know full well that having the top-end talent doesn't mean you're going to be the best team at the end of the day. The exercise was give me the list of the best players. Full stop.
Based off of the previous season, and that's how every top 50 is always being analyzed. It's not based off 5 seasons ago. It's not based off of future. It's based off of the 2023 season.
CFL team presidents, I promise you, Henoc does not believe what he says. Do not.
Oh, 1,000%
do not withhold an opportunity in a front office because this guy is acting a fool out here for content.